Hey, welcome back to SPF 100. It seems like just yesterday we started this series, but it was actually last week. We are on episode 2. Every Friday, we are going to dig deep into this brain bucket. Yours truly, the team leader of the action team. I'm Mark Kalscheuer, and we are going to be talking about my personal experiences, maybe my personal philosophies that have to do with the team, that have to maybe do with real estate, but it has to do with the team, so it does have to do with real estate. But I just want you to get a little better idea of who I am, because this team is built in my image. That sounds a little egotistical, but I promise it's coming from here. So if you watch my previous SPF 100 video, then you already know I struggled making this video. There are so many things I want to share about my background, how it relates to this team. And as I went deep in my own mind, things got out of control. And I just couldn't keep it focused for you. And I was worried if I got lost in my own thoughts, that you'd probably get lost as well. And what I realized after some contemplation and a very conveniently timed discussion with my coworkers, I realized that I was struggling with this because I needed to start with why and then go from there. So let's start with why I became a real estate agent. I retired from the Army in 2017 after about 20 and a half years of active duty service and 23 years total service in the Army. I was living in North Carolina, and my daughter, who was going into her sophomore year in high school, lived in Louisiana. Her mom and I had gotten divorced several years earlier, and at some point they had moved back to Louisiana to be closer to her family. My retirement plan, which my daughter was very much involved in, had her and I moving up to Wisconsin, where I am now, and where I grew up, and she's going to do her entire high school up here. But then when I went on my 11th deployment, it pushed my retirement window just enough that my daughter started high school in Louisiana. Well, that plan shifted tremendously because she started high school. She had friends. She didn't want to leave her high school and didn't want to start over in a new place. So, of course, she decided she wasn't going to move. So then, of course, I had to make a choice to move up to Wisconsin without her, stay in North Carolina without her, or move down to Louisiana and be with her. And to be honest with you, it never was a choice. I was going to be with her no matter what. So I packed everything up and moved to Louisiana. And I'm not going to go into it in this video for time purposes, but it was rough. Logistically, emotionally, it was a very rough time moving down to Louisiana. And my first challenge, besides where am I going to live, is what I'm going to do for work. Yes, I was retired, but I was 42 years old. I knew I needed something with a super flexible schedule, something entrepreneurial, something where I didn't really have somebody I was answering to, and probably most importantly, something that my success was a direct correlation to my action, something that I didn't get to enjoy for over 20 years in the military. And you've probably guessed by now I landed on real estate. And luckily, I already knew a lot about Keller Williams. And so I went and checked them out in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And that's where I hung my hat in 2018. That was a monumentally good decision in my life, because not only did I learn a lot about real estate and meet a lot of cool people, make a lot of good friends, it also happened to be where I met my wife, who was actually quite vital in helping me create this action team. So why the action team? You may have already connected the dots, maybe you haven't. It probably depends on how old you are, but the action team is 100% an homage or homage to one of the best TV shows in the 80s. At least in this guy's opinion, the A-Team. And if you just happen to not know what the A-Team is, they did a movie in 2010 based on the TV show. And that was all right, but the show was awesome. It was very campy. It was about a group of Green Berets who were accused of a crime they didn't commit. And so they were underground. And they basically became heroes for hire. They would help the everyman out of very dramatic situations week after week. And yeah, there were Green Berets, there was a lot of shooting and car chases and punching and stuff like that. But the big thing every week was they were always in some sort of a pickle. And they always got out of the situation by like building something. They always came up with some solution to their very grand problem. And yeah, a lot of it was building weapons out of weird things and armoring up their vehicles and smashing into things. But the point is they came up with solutions to problems. And I'm not saying the show is meant to be some deep, meaningful thing. The show is meant to be punching and driving and shooting. And it was supposed to be campy and funny and cool. It also was about this team that was very smart, very resourceful, and they always got out of their jams. They always found a solution to the problems. And hey, feel free to jump in the comment section if you think you know a better team than the A team when it comes to problem solving and cool and campy and awesome. And we can just argue it out. But seriously, I wanted to build a really cool team, a little campy, a little nerdy, a lot of fun, and really able to solve problems and help other people solve their problems. I've had a servant's heart my entire life. I didn't realize that. I never even heard that term until recently. But when I heard the term and I really thought about my life, that's how I'm built. I served as a teenager and I was in the Catholic Church. I served Mass. Don't worry, nothing weird happened. I spent some time volunteering at the local retirement community that my grandparents lived at. And I joined the Army Reserves after high school, and then I went active duty. Then I served my entire adult life. And now here I am as a retired Army First Sergeant, serving as a realtor, helping people sell their houses and buy houses. But the point is, service has always been a big part of my life, but now it's just laser focused on helping people with real estate. So how do we do that? I had the honor and privilege of interviewing 7th graders last week for a mock job interview. They were trying to get a job with several people in this group. And so I was interviewing them to hire them onto the action team. And it was a great experience overall. But I had a really breakthrough moment with one particular kid who handed me his resume. And I said, tell me a little bit about yourself. And he immediately started talking about video games. I said, what kind of video games do you like? He said, Zelda is my favorite video game. I was like, okay. And it dawned on me, the entire concept of my real estate team is like a character in Zelda. I said, I don't know if you're familiar with the old Zelda, but in that game, the hero goes in to this cave and talks to this old man. And he gets advice from this old man and gets a sword before he goes on his big adventure. He said, yeah, I know that. I said, well, my team is the old man. My team is not Link going on an adventure. My team is the guy in the cave giving good advice and giving him the tools to go out there and be a hero and slay the monsters. He's like, oh yeah, I get it. I tell people all the time. I shout that from the rooftop. We're not the hero of your real estate story. You are. You're buying the house. You're selling the house. You're doing the thing. We're helping you out. We're giving you sage advice. We're giving you the tools. And we're the guys in the van, metaphorically speaking, who are ready to find a solution when you get into a pickle, when things go sideways. That's what this team is all about. And we're not the A team. We're the action team. The A team were heroes. The A team in their show were the heroes. And that's the one glaring difference. The focus is not on us. The focus is on you. But the spirit of the A team is absolutely embodied in this team, in the action team. Okay, so who is the action team? Technically, right now, the action team is myself and my wife, Jennifer. We are a husband and wife team. We started as a husband and wife team. I was working on the marketing. I was the listing agent. She was working on the systems and the compliance, the paperwork, and she was the buyer's agent. And then something happened over the last year. So Jennifer obviously lives with me. She worked with me, and she spent all of her free time with me. And I'm pretty cool, but that's a lot of me. And she respectfully decided that it was time to branch out and do something else, not with me. And we talked about it, and it made sense for both of us and the team. So although Jennifer is still my partner, and she's still running the systems that she built and doing compliance for me and keeping me on track, you're not going to be seeing her. I'm the face of the... You're not usually going to be seeing her. I'm the face of the team. And unfortunately for me, but probably fortunately for you and everybody else involved, Jennifer will have the monumental task of teaching me how to use the systems that she built and that she pretty much exclusively ran for me in the past. And yes, the intent is to remove her completely from the day-to-day operations of the business and eventually replace her with someone else to run the systems that is not me. Maybe there's a silver lining there. Maybe we can hire somebody younger.
No.
Maybe we can hire somebody cooler. maybe we can hire somebody nicer. But on a serious note, just like I'm talking about having to replace Jennifer on the back end support of the team, eventually I'm going to be looking at replacing myself with another version of me. The big vision of this team is for legacy, even though it's built around me, and it's going to continue to be built around my personality, my values, my ideals, but I very much want it to grow beyond me. And that's one of the reasons that we're not the Kalscheuer team, even though that's a pretty sweet name for a team. You can go ahead and use that if you want, it's available. And I just want to close out this video by saying this thing's going to get very big and very ridiculous. As it gets bigger, it's going to get more campy, more ridiculous, and more fun. And I'd just like to invite you to come along for the ride.